Hey fam, how y'all doing? I hope that y'all are doing well. Um I just wanted to stop by in your neighborhood on today, and I just really want to let you all know that God is working in this season. If you think you are alone, let God work. If you think that you are in transition from one place to the next, let God work. If you feel like you don't know which way to go, but you know that God is doing something, listen, let God work. God is filling you. God is cleansing you out, and He's filling you up, and He's sending you out to do a great work. He is placing you in position to do whatever it is that's needed to be done. Whatever He has called you to do, God is filling you up. God is cleansing you out, and He's filling you up. He's washing you. When I say filling you up, God is actually also washing you. God is cleansing you, and He's washing you. The Lord is washing you with His water. He's washing you with His word. He is washing you with His presence. God says to glorify me in all that you do. Glorify me. Every chance that you get, glorify my name, says God. It don't matter how you feel, glorify me. When you need someone to talk to, come and talk to me. You don't have to create no whole closet. You don't have to write down your whole prayer on a piece of paper and think you have to take it to God and present it to God in a certain way. God says, come to me. Come to me in your brokenness. Come to me in your loneliness. Come to me when you aren't sure. Come to me when you're feeling fearful. Come to me when you're feeling doubtful. Come to me when you have no rest. Come to me when you are heavy burdened. Because I can fix all that. I can remove all that. I can heal that. I can rearrange that. God says, I can change those things. Oh God. This is God. God says, I can change those things if you let me. If you would just welcome me into your space. And a lot of times we think space means physical. But God is saying mental. God is saying it's time for us to open up. It's time for us to let Him in. It's time for us to open our heart. It's time for us to open our mind to the things that He is doing. It's time for us to open our mental space and allow Him in our mental space, because that's where the healing takes place. That's where the work takes place. That's where transformation takes place. That's where the transaction takes place. The transaction, Isaiah 55. When the Lord talks about when He's calling us into Him and He's telling us to buy the milk, buy the water, buy whatever it is that we need, the wine, those things that will nourish us. The Lord is saying to buy those things from Him. We don't have to pull the money out of our own pockets. Whatever we have, whatever we need, the Lord have already given it to us. And He's saying it's time for us to give those gifts back to Him. It's time for us to give our heart to Him. It's time for us to give our thoughts back to the Lord. It's time for us. That's why it feels so heavy, because God is calling you to a higher standard. A higher way of doing things, a higher way of thinking, a higher way of creating, a higher way of living, a higher concept. God is calling us to higher concepts. And He is calling us to act and obey. He's calling us to act. He's calling us to move. He's calling us to act. Because the capacity, not capacity, but capacity, CAPACITY, the capacity that God has allowed us to operate in is so big, so great, and so mighty. and you're saying to God that you don't know if you can do it. You don't know if you're equipped for the very thing that God is calling you to do. You don't know if you can handle all of it. You don't know all the work that God has placed in your hand. You're not quite sure how you would steward those things, but God says, come unto me. Trust me, give it back to me, and I can show you how it will be done. But God says you have to trust me, because I equipped you for a time such as this. I am calling you to arise. I am calling a generation that will arise, because we are birthing a nation. We're in a process of birthing, and some of us don't even know it. Or some of us are scared to give birth. We've been carrying this baby for months on end, for years on end, and now it's time to birth. And some of us are scared to birth. But God says you cannot run from the delivery room. You cannot run from the process of birthing. You cannot run from delivering what it is that He's placed on the inside of you. Just because it seems big, just because it seems too hard to push out, just because it may seem just too big for your eyes, too big for your mental state of mind, God says that I am raising you up. I am raising you up as a leader. I'm raising you up as someone who will birth the promise and someone who would midwife the promise. God is raising us up to birth the seed and to midwife the seed. Listen, because the seed is the nation. The gifts that God's placed on us is going to help the nation. And we're going to be the ones to midwife the nation. We're birthing a nation, and we're going to midwife them into their promise. And God says, yes, it's great. Yes, it's strong. Yes, it's so big. But I called you. I